Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Don't see what's yours for the taking tonight. Ooh, show me your soul, baby. I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Can't you see it's way past time? How explicit do I have to be? I mean, I spell it out before you get it, baby. Show me your soul, and honey, I'll show you. I'll show you.
Good morning. Labor Day is over. Get up and get back to work. Yes, I worked yesterday anyway. And it was wonderful. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. I'm gonna put my thing up here a little bit higher because I was yesterday. So anyway, I am so thrilled to be here with you guys. Welcome back. There was a rerun yesterday. Holiday, I took it, and so happy to be here. How was your Labor Day weekend? I want to know. Drop it into the comment section. Did you barbecue? Were you with family? And just let us know what your greatest joy of the holiday weekend was for you. I want to know. Mine was we went to South Haven, Michigan. You may have seen some of the pictures on my Facebook. Went to the in-laws' house, which is right on a great big bluff overlooking the beautiful Lake Michigan. We had a bonfire, Brian and I. We walked the beach. We just, R&R, rest and relaxation. You guys know that I've been dealing with that. Both of us had, what do you call those things? What is it? Sinus infections. Oh, Lord Jesus. I was on steroids and antibiotics, and then I took all my over-the-counter stuff, Mucinex and Benadryl and Sudafed. I'm surprised I didn't OD. I didn't get in the bathtub, though. Tell you that much. Sure wasn't. And didn't have any wine until yesterday. So I'm back, and I'm glad you're here. Why is it so important to me that we do this every day, Monday through Friday? It's because, first and foremost, it fulfills one of the greatest promises known to man. That promise which says to us, when two or more of us that are like-minded in agreement come together, doesn't say that something good, wonderful, spectacular might happen, should happen, could happen. No, it promises that it will. And today is no exception. That's the Bella purpose. What does it mean? It means it's not some clever prop, that sort of thing. Get that out of your head. It is, first of all and foremost, the truth has a ring to it. And every time you hear that bell ring, it means there's some truth out there. Pay attention, lean in, back up the car, take it home with you, give it away. Okay? Can I get an amen? Thank y'all. Help me welcome to the show at this point, as we do every day, my sidekick. She's my version of Ed McMahon. This is Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. I finally bought some Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and this one is hazelnut. I wanted to open the vanilla one, but I knew I'm trying to cut down on coffee, right? You know what I'm saying? Just trying to do better, a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Look for an E and an R every day. No, don't write your story every day based on all 26 letters of the alphabet. You don't need to. Why? Because when we wake up and we've been blessed with life yet again, we're already great. Do what you have to do to move things around. Look under cushions, under seats. Look in junk drawers of your world. Find one E and one R. Push it over to what you already are, and you'll take great to greater. You'll take bright to brighter. You'll take strong to stronger. And that's a promise. Okay? So I wanted to send a shout out to my good buddy. Just started high school last week, had his first day. I'm talking of Jordan Randolph, my good coaching client, Tracy Randolph's son. I gave him money for his graduation from 8th grade, about, I don't know, back in June or something. And he sent me a thank you card, right? Actually mailed it. It was so funny because on the back of the card, it must have not had enough sticky stuff, right? So he took a label off of some kind of jar or something like lotion and stuck the thing. And I said, look, that's what I love about kids. They get it done. They get it done. And it was just so encouraging to see a young person writing something, mailing something, taking the time. He could have texted me. I'm in his phone. But he said, Dear Mr. Lauren, I wanted to thank you for the generous graduation gift you gave me. I really appreciate it. Sincerely, Jordan. Ah, right. Thank you, Jordan. I love you, man. He's going to be one of my youth speakers at the Power of We Symposium coming up in April 28th, right here in the beautiful city of Chicago at the Stan Mansion. For more information, and I'll pop that in. Well, you know, I can do that now, actually. For more information on how you can become a volunteer, a vendor in the lower ballroom, room for 35 vendor tables down there, and we sell out every time. Or perhaps you just want to get a ticket and come. If you do, if you want to join us, there it is, powerofwesymposium.com. So there you go, and I'll give that to you whenever you need it. Good morning to all you beautiful people. Sherry McQueen, Fallon. Oh, that's you, Fallon. Fallon the floor. I was like, we got two Fallons here. Fallon the floor. That's French for flower. Okay. Oui, Chantal Lettre Chanson na pas facile. Yes. I don't speak French. That's from a song I learned all the way back in 1980 when I was in Up With People. We had an international segment, and I still remember that song. Chantal Lettre Chanson. But when I sang it back then, I didn't sound like Louise Jefferson like I did just then, so don't get it twisted. Anyway, hello, Robert Brooker. I'm looking at all these beautiful people. Hello to each and every one of you, as well as all of you watching from one of the other 26 platforms that we're distributed out on. So a couple things before we get our guest in here today. $300 snatched back from the hands of those who don't want to go to work. I'm just saying. I'm sick of those signs. I did something about it last week. Looking for help, looking for help, looking for help. It was released yesterday. I heard it on NPR radio that unemployment recipients are no longer going to receive that additional $300. I don't know if it was a month, a week, whatever it was enough for them to say it's cheaper to stay home than go to work. Maybe that will help solve some of the problems we're having in almost every industry as far as people not having enough quality employees. It's a lot of stress on those who are showing up to work. Remember that the next time you're in line at a fast food or a coffee place or wherever you find yourself, and they obviously, clearly are shorthanded. Just remember, the people there are showing up. They're doing their best. and let's support them in that, shall we? Thank you so much. What else? What else? Anything else? Anybody know anything big that happened over the weekend that I'm missing as far as the news? If so, drop it in the comments and we'll get to it. Thank you, Sharon McQueen, for dropping the Power of We Symposium link into the comments. And so here we are. Oh, one more thing. You guys helped me break a record with a post on Facebook. Wasn't boosted or any of that. I want to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for all the wonderful things and support and encouragement that you sent my way when I put it out last week that our show on iHeartRadio, it's iRock Radio on iHeartRadio, a space show, believe it or not, yes, that I will be doing with a partner, and Galaxy Girl is her name, and our show will be called, are you ready? Cosmo Sapiens. And so we began. I ordered a big $500 Sennheiser mic last night. I'm moving my studio downstairs to the man cave, getting up lighting and soundproofing it. I'm ready to go, y'all. I'm ready to go. And I can't wait for us to all get over there and fulfill that promise yet again. So it's time. It's time. Let me tell you about our guest today. Her name is FALLON M. Flowers. I was connected with her years back, and I have been honored to listen and learn and be poured into from her as she was on the stage a few years back when Vicky Omafalaji came from Australia and had some speaking engagements, and Fallon was one of the speakers that we brought in for that. But Fallon is not just a speaker. She is a master prepared registered nurse and board certified women's health nurse practitioner. Now, she works in clinical research with underserved communities. She is a lifetime resident of the South Side of Chicago, where she happily resides with her longtime significant other and future husband. Oh, okay. Put it out there then. Miss Flowers is a graduate of Loyola University, Chicago Masters in Nursing, Western Illinois University, Bachelor's in Biology, and Daly College, Associates in Nursing. There's a lot more to her, but I'm going to wait because I can show you better than I can tell you, and I'm going to let her. Now, why did I bring Fallon in today? There's so much going on. I just got off an important call about an event by one of my dear friends, Dan Deeby, who was responsible for bringing me to the Star Trek convention a few weeks back, if you remember, in Las Vegas. Now, they had a thing going on where you could not come to any of their private parties unless you were verifiably vaccinated fully. And we, my husband Brian and I, are dealing with that right now because today we have to put our invitation out for our annual end of summer party. Usually we have, 40, 50 people. Probably be more like 13 or 14 this year because we have to stand by our decision to be fully vaccinated. Or why did we even get vaccinated? So we have to tell people today that if you're coming to our party, we need you to be fully vaccinated and we need proof. I'm just saying, I don't think you're going to lie, but I owe that to the compromised people that will be there, that have done what they feel is right for them. And why would I get vaccinated again if it didn't matter? So personal choice. We all find ourselves where we are at every moment in life to choose for ourselves, right? So anyway, I'm going to get Fallon in here. I want to talk about all kinds of things involving nursing and what's going on in the world today. A lot of nurses being hailed as heroes, frontline workers, and a lot of them don't like that moniker, being called a hero. We're going to talk about that, and also how the pandemic has affected the influx or not of new nurses entering the workforce. But first, we need to get her in here or we won't be able to talk about duty. Here we go. You guys put your hearts together. It's her first time here, and you know how we treat people, not when they're just first timers, but always. Put your hearts into this conversation. It'll be illuminated. It's right at the top of the screen here. But also put your hearts on the screen. It's your way of applauding as we bring to this stage Fallon Flowers. Le floor. Douchez la papadita. I just went from French into Swahili. I don't know what that when I made it was a made up Swahili. It might have been speaking in tongues. Don't strike. I was not doing it on purpose. Welcome, Nurse Flowers. Nurse Flowers, call 242. Nurse Flowers, call 242. Stat. I speak medical.
You do.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you this morning?
I'm awesome, blessed, and highly favored. I am
Yes,
so grateful for you to be here. We have a lot to talk about. Um, Before we get started, let's watch something with everyone because then I want you to talk about how you feel about it. But while I'm pulling that up, say hello to the folks out in TV land. Let them know where you're at right now, and give them a little bit of that, you know, backstory about Fallon. And I'm going
certainly,
to get this ready. Go ahead.
certainly indeed. Well, hello everyone. Here.
Sounds like there you go.
Oh,
Okay, I thought you
okay.
froze for a minute.
No.
Okay.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you all for having me here. I'm so glad to be here today. As he already introduced, I'm a board certified women's health nurse practitioner and working at clinical research, and I am the founder and CEO of Nursing Inspired LLC. I help to prepare Black and African American aspiring nurses to prepare, plan, and pay for nursing school. And part of that journey came from my work in nursing and eventually beginning to teach youth that would like to enter nursing. And I did not see a lot of youth that looked like me. And so
Right.
I wanted to make sure that I gave back to my community. I'm from the south side of Chicago, so I started off there, but now I am actually interacting with youth throughout the US and adults throughout the US that are Black and aspiring nurses.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's take a peek, if we could, into this. I watched this earlier, and I trust today. And life after lockdown, the mental toll on frontline healthcare workers. Let's take a look, and then we'll get started with the conversation.
They're the unforgettable faces of the pandemic. Doctors and nurses fighting to save lives, wearing medical masks for hours and hours. But while those imprints will go away, after a year on the front lines, for many, the emotional wounds of COVID-19 run deep.
We are not okay. We are tired and we are scared.
Please, 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 wear your mask, social distance.
From pleading with the public to do the right thing, to sitting at countless bedsides as patients died without family or friends.
To hold these hands and bear this weight and do what we do, and then to come home and to have to hear people say it's not real, it's undescribable.
Rachel Ellsworth has been a nurse for 12 years. She worked the COVID unit at a hospital in Florida.
There's so many names and faces that are flashing through my head.
Each death has taken a toll.
I had one patient in particular who you could tell he was like the papa bear of his family. He said, what do you need to do? I'll do anything. I literally do whatever you tell me to do. But you can't let me die. My wife needs me. And that was one. That's one.
How do you make sense of this, the sheer volume of tragedy that you've seen?
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't.
Dr. Tawn Neville is an ICU physician at UCLA's Ronald Reagan Medical Center. She says because of her work fighting COVID-19, the depression she's battled for most of her life has gotten worse.
I've had a lot of difficulty sleeping just because of anxiety and replaying stories in my mind. I've had like the early awakenings, and it's been a difficult journey, to say the least.
Ellsworth and Neville are far from alone. A survey of more than 1,100 healthcare workers found emotional conditions comparable to a war zone, with 86% experiencing anxiety, 76% reporting exhaustion and burnout, and 70% say they now have trouble sleeping.
I myself have asked for help. I think it's important that we are recognizing that this is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It actually is a sign of strength.
Dr. Vineet Chopra is the chief of hospital medicine at the University of Michigan.
Do you think that there is a mental health crisis looming within our healthcare system?
I don't think there is a mental health crisis brewing. I think it's here. And I think the fallout is still to be determined.
According to a survey out this week by the American Nurses Foundation, almost 20% of nurses intend to leave their position, although the vast majority say they plan to stay within the profession. Eventually, Ellsworth, a mother of 3, had to step aside. She says she grew irritable and was having trouble getting out of bed.
I stepped away to protect my own mental health and to protect my children's childhood because they weren't getting the mother they deserved.
While Dr. Chopra foresees short-term healthcare shortages, there is a silver lining.
For everyone leaving, I know of people who are now more committed to joining healthcare. There's this incredible call to arms where people really wanted to sort of contribute and be part of that change.
So, Fallon, what went through your mind as far as your decision to enter nursing when the pandemic hit? Did you have any second guessing going on, or how did you process it all, and how do you continue to today? Because we're not over. It's not over.
No, we're certainly not. We're certainly not out of the woods yet. At the time, for me, when the pandemic hit, I was actually still working.
Uh-oh.
I was. I'm not sure if you heard me, but I was still working in OB/GYN at the time, and at the time with the different protocols that were being put in place, the different materials that we were still trying to get hands on, not only medically, but also for patients when they were coming in with having masks and sanitizers and things like that, and materials being so scant and scarce. It was a scary time, it really was, especially when I was taking care of my older patients and when I had pregnant patients. And how I had to be so close to them, or with me working in OB/GYN doing a breast exam on a patient prior to me sending them to a mammogram or just for their annual exam. And so being so up close to someone and you not knowing if they have, if they've been affected by this disease, or even yourself with being symptomless, it was very, very scary point. But I never questioned. I never questioned my calling to nursing because of the pandemic. I can definitely say, regardless. That's the one thing that I am so grateful for about the nursing profession is the fact that we have so many specialties and so many different things and ways that we can contribute and give back and use our nursing knowledge and skills. And so even with the pandemic, everyone doesn't necessarily have to be on the front lines. Even though we need a lot of people on the front lines, there are lots of varying many ways. And so it affected me, again, just really being so close and not also having answers for patients about what symptoms, about vaccines, about, if it was for pregnant women, if it was their pregnancy, it was things like that. I think because for the first time at that time, I think I was 8 years going into 9 years in nursing, I didn't have answers that I could pull from. And I think that was the most challenging time because as nurses and as providers, we can always go and pull out an app or look up a resource on our computer and let the patient know while we're still in the room or while they're still in the room. But this time there was no, true research. There was burdening things that were coming from the CDC and things that they were putting out, but those things were still being checked and tested and re-verified and so on.
So, Fallon, as a medical professional, let's fast forward to today. Here we are, over a year later this time last year, it was pretty crazy, to put it mildly.
Yes.
Some of you remember I was on a show with Dr. Jessica Sanchez on a Wednesday, and little did we know at the time, she had just lost her grandfather to COVID. The whole family, I think just about, a family of doctors had contracted COVID at an anniversary party. The grandfather had already passed, and she said, "Lauren, why don't you choose our topic for Wednesday?" And I said, "Oh, how about the art of grieving? Because it's fresh, it's real, and we can help some people." And she started, oh, my allergies. And then she was going to be on my show the next week, and I sat waiting and waiting. And it was the next day when the person whose panel we had met on a couple weeks prior texted me and said, "Oh, did you hear Dr. Jessica Sanchez passed this morning from COVID?" And I'm telling you, it was like something just picked me up and threw me like some spaghetti against the wall to see if I would stick or not. And here we are, like I said, all this time later, fast forward to a year, and it's all about the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Now, when we were going through it, I was so anticipating the release of the vaccine because I have compromised system because I was a preemie, I have digital clubbing, I have breathing issues, I have asthma, boom, boom, boom. And I just wasn't willing to risk it. So it was never a question for me, but it was a choice when it came down to it. So I want to ask you, how do you feel today about what's going on with so many people who are standing their ground about getting vaccinated, and who can come into their space? If you're vaccinated, yes. If you're not, I'm sorry. A lot of risk there for, offending people, and it's almost like talking politics or religion. It's like a third one of those now. And I just got off a call where a person has to remove an opportunity from someone because they just found out. I mean, travel, plane tickets have been purchased, whatnot. And it just came up in conversation last night because they assumed this person was vaccinated and they are not. And now they have to retract the offer. So same thing we're dealing with our party. Have you met any of your peers in the medical profession who are not vaccinated and refuse to be? And if so, what's that conversation sound like?
Thank you for asking that question. So that has been a consistent, I think, piece of conversation just in general in the medical community, no matter if it's in online groups. It's mostly been online groups more than anything, more so than being in person. But there are still those that don't believe that, that they should be told that they should get vaccinated, or it's, it's not someone else's place and those type of things. But, when you work in healthcare, when you are applying to programs, they require that you provide your vaccine records. So, and just to see if you're, clear from things like chicken pox and hepatitis and tuberculosis and all these things. And then also the influenza vaccine is required. And so now for the COVID-19 vaccine to be required, or, at a lot of health institutions, and previously just suggested and recommended, it should not be a surprise that this has now come about, that this is also that case. Again, especially going back to looking at when we had the, influenza, and just looking at this past season alone, just seeing how many people went and got vaccinated for the flu vaccine, how many people were wearing masks, and look at, we practically didn't have a flu season this past, fall into spring, not as it had been in years past. And so that shows the power of wearing masks. That shows the power of not coming to work sick. That shows the power of getting vaccinated. And so if that worked for that, and you're already vaccinated a lot with the other things, and if you're not vaccinated, you have to get a booster for those things, then why not get this too? So
Right. Now, I am looking in another window here at the CDC site regarding influenza positive tests as of August 28th in the United States. And they're saying, if I'm reading it right, that percent positive for flu. Now, I heard last week, you tell me what you've heard. Somebody told me there's no flu in the United States right now, but doesn't mean it's in other places. And I don't know how to read all this stuff. I got a VA for that now. I'm not techie. But the reason I'm asking about that, because there are also people like, well, I'm not even getting a flu. Now, it's made the people that I've talked to people that said they got their flu shot every year. And now, because of all the conspiracy theories and the fear of this and that and the other, I think they're going to try to sneak it in me through the flu shot. I ain't getting it either. What's going on, Fallon? And the reason I'm bringing this in, and I know y'all think I didn't notice. I saw how many people were watching on all the different platforms. And as soon as we started talking about vaccine or no vaccine, all of them were like, bye, Felicia. A bunch of them. I'm out the door, babe. Well, bye. I'm just saying, because you know what? I'm not trying to convince you to do anything you don't want to do. But I do think we need to talk about things that need to be talked about, so that no matter what decision you make, you've at least given it a 360 walk around. An informed decision is a real thing, right? We cannot guess ourselves through anything that could cost us our life. If you ask me, you could, but I don't think it's a good idea. So let's talk about, okay, so you have that. Now you have people talking about boosters. So how do you think, and here's another thing. I know people who are vaccinated who are about the booster. I haven't even given any thought yet because I always I let it go out there a minute to see what happened with everybody. You know, what happened with so-and-so. You go in first, and if you come back out, I might go in. That's me. I'm just saying. Well, because I get it. It usually takes 15 years on average for a drug to make it through the FDA approval process on average. And here these things came through, but I get it. We needed it now, right? So what about the booster? How do you feel about it? What are you hearing? I mean, is there a percentage of how many? Let's put it this way. 10 of your closest peers or allies or family members or friends. What are you hearing? 3 say they're going to take it. 7 say they're not. What are you hearing? What are you feeling?
Well, currently there hasn't been really much discussion about those who desire the booster or not. Right now, there are still some that haven't gotten the vaccine in the first place.
Right.
So there's still that concern of getting those who are not vaccinated. So that's the one thing. But the other thing is we do need to make sure that we follow the science and the recommendations that are there. And that's really for those that are immune compromised at this time more than anything. Let them get that booster so that we can maintain their immune system, because those of us that are healthy and don't have immune compromised, immune systems, our body is able to fight that off, especially with the, antibodies that have been built up in our body from the vaccine. So we have some time. It's those that are immune compromised more than anything that really need that, especially if it's been a good length of time since they've had their full series of the vaccine. Right.
And okay, I found, doing my research for today's show, I found a little ditty, some numbers, which speak to, and let me see who put this out. Let me see. I'll just read it. They're saying by 2022, there will be far more registered nurse jobs available than any other profession in the world, at more than 100,000 per year, with more than 500,000 seasoned RNs anticipated to retire by 2022. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects the need for 11 million new RNs for expansion and replacement of retirees in order to avoid a nursing shortage. Now, over the past decade, the average age of employed RNs has increased by nearly 2 years, from 42.7 years in 2000 to 44.6 years in 2010. These factors, combined with an anticipated strengthening of the economy, will create a renewed critical shortage for nurses. So, do you feel, what's the word on the street? Do you feel that a lot of young men and women entering college and grad school and whatnot are saying, well, let me wait and see about going into nursing until we're on the other side of this pandemic? Has it affected, because we're going to get into that right after the break, you actually coach young people, as you mentioned earlier, on how to get into the nursing field and how to do it with as little debt at the other end as possible, and what they need to take, the kids of color. And I'm glad, I love your focus, because I have a coaching client, Tiana Ross, who's a CPA. And she was telling us how, when she spoke at the Power of We 2 years ago, that when she was a senior, she had a 4.2 GPA, and somebody came from a prominent university and said, well, I know you all in here have 4.0s and above, but really, because you're in inner city, we consider your A's C's. And they were devastated, these kids, devastated. So we're going to talk about that. And I want you to think about the thing about, is it affecting them? We're going to get into that and a bunch more in just 1 minute when we come back with our guest today, Fallon Flowers. So share this out, don't duck out, and we'll be right back.
Except I received this insight about a title called Prisoner of War. The book.
Alrighty, welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. Today is the 7th day of Septiembre for you Espanol speakers, September for the rest of us. And our guest today is registered nurse, nursing coach, Fallon Flowers. And Fallon, welcome back to the show. Before the break, we were talking about all kinds of things, the pandemic, the booster shot, the vaccine and much more. But we really came here today. I wanted to talk about what you're doing because I love the fact that you are doing this coaching to help our young people of color find their way into the nursing field, or at least able to consider it. And I'm so excited because we're going to get you in at the Power of We Symposium Chicago. In a couple different aspects, but I know we're gonna get you downstairs in the lower ballroom so you can talk to some of these young people about the opportunities in the nursing and medical field in general. So tell me what you're finding is the biggest obstacle with our disadvantaged, marginalized kids of color, which means brown, black, any kid. What are you finding they're saying? What is the biggest speed bump, if you will, or hurdle for these young people as far as getting into nursing? Is it education? Is it the funding? Is it the mindset? What is it?
I would say for young people of color, one, it's the awareness of the many different types of nursing that they can go into and their preparedness for nursing. And then, yes, the other portion is funding. What has been noted within research and data has been showing that there's a lot of students of color that will maybe go into the ancillary portion of healthcare. So they may go into CNA, which is a certified nursing assistant, right, medical assistant. They'll go to LPN, which is licensed practical nurse, and they'll step their way up, not necessarily going directly into a BSN, which is a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program with a direct admit. And so, and that's there not only because of not knowing the different pathways that you can enter, but then also the cost. And then I failed to mention, of course, the associate's degree in nursing, which I am a recipient of myself. And so really, it's the preparedness that's there. When we look at, in general, even young students that are not of color, high school is not emphasizing or preparing anyone for a specific career unless it's a career-related high school. Right. So when you generally go to high school, everything is focused on getting the good grades, the GPA, your AP, test scores, the SAT and ACT test scores, and applying to the colleges and getting the scholarships and funding for that.
Sure.
So unless these young people, and especially young people of color, are being exposed to that career early on enough to make a good plan and be proactive, it's kind of hard for them to be able to directly enter into a nursing program, directly right away, straight from high school. And a part of that also, is the barrier of it being so very competitive. So you mentioned right before the break, would the COVID-19 pandemic have steered young people away? But honestly, we've seen the opposite effect. What has been deemed as been the Fauci effect, if you will, where a lot of young people would, have a desire to give back and to really help and to dive into nursing, into medicine head on, and they really want to be able to help. However, what I will tell you is that prior to the pandemic, there was the last data that was shown from the National League of Nursing in 2018. At the highest, 38% of qualified applicants were being turned away from nursing programs. And so this is not the people that don't have the GPA in there or don't have the test scores. These are the people that have everything that they need to have to apply and get accepted into a nursing program, yet they're not being accepted. So that already is a problem. And so when you add in the Fauci effect and you add in more students that would like to become a nurse, that increases their ability to get in, but where does that leave students of color, especially with you mentioning the young lady who was told what her GPA looked like from being inner city compared to
Right,
someone who's not?
right. And I want to say something. And this weekend when we were up at the in-laws, my father-in-law were having a conversation about this very topic. And he made a really good point. He said he had been reading, which he does a lot of, and he said that it's almost like junior college, the associates, the 2-year programs should be, it's almost like an extension of high school now. Because, and I'm like, so like, yeah, like 13 and 14th grade,
Hmm.
because of things that are missing.
Yes.
So many kids have to go to the 2-year because so much is missing out of what they really need to hit that BS or higher.
Yes.
What do you say about that? Because you coach people in this. Is that true? Is that not true? Is it kind of true? What do you think?
I guess I would say kind of true. Really, I have seen young people that were in the top 10 of their class and valedictorians, and they took AP classes, and then they went away to college, and it was a different experience and story. And that first year was a challenge. And I've worked with a couple of people that they were in that position and had to come back home because they weren't able to maintain, things that were going on there. And this is very, I won't say very prevalent, but it's prevalent enough. It's
Mhm.
something going on, I won't even just say inner city, but predominantly Black schools as well that see this. I've talked with educators that talk about the polarities of they want to push the students, all of their students, but especially the students that look like them, Black students, to do a certain way, but because those students and their parents are used to being always getting A's, um, that that they don't expect anything less than that, and
Yeah.
so there's that expectation that well, I've always done well, so I should continue to do well. But in
Doesn't
reality, the
always turn
student
out that way.
is done a disservice. Yes, they're being done a disservice by not being fully challenged the way that they need to fully be college prepared. When a high school says college preparatory, it truly needs to have really, I would say, some collegiate level instructors and courses involved in there where there's a bridge because the way in which the students are being, they have that, set structure of going to high school. You're there all day. You're there 5 days a week, 6 to 7 and 8 hours a day. But college is a different story. You
Sure.
have different autonomy,
A lot
different
more
class
freedom.
schedules, and all sorts of things, and the instructors are different. And you are not going back to, your mom is not talking to the principal anymore.
Right.
On your behalf, or the in-school tutor or dean or any of that. It's on you at this point in time, and there's not really a transition there that helps them. So I do, when I do coach students, especially that are in high school, I do recommend that they do things such as looking at dual enrollment, so that they are taking classes at a community college where they are getting college credit already. That way they're saving themselves money, and then they're also allowing themselves to be aligned where as soon as they are graduating, then they can apply direct into a program already, and they've taken all those prerequisites. And they've shown that they can handle college level coursework.
Right. That's absolutely right. I was amazed at both of the previous Power Week symposiums when I spoke with a lot of the kids, more than you would expect, who were already either halfway or 3/4 of the way to an associate's degree
Yes.
as a graduating senior. Just exactly what you described. So tell us about this nursing inspired LLC that we have on the screen right now. Why you felt compelled to add to an already full, busy plate to bring in this piece of coaching for young people. What do you hope to achieve by doing it, and is it working?
Thank you so much. So yes, I started off with actually teaching while I was in my Master's of Nursing program. I started teaching high school students that had a desire to be nurses or just get more clarity on if nursing was for them with their interest in healthcare. And over that period of time, this was as early back as 2015, I was teaching these high school students. But when I looked throughout the years and I saw how many students that were Black, students that looked like me, there were not many in that specific program. And so that's where I decided to, as we say, create our own table and bring the shares too. And so I created Nursing Inspired LLC. And it was originally not an LLC until this year, but I founded Nursing Inspired in 2017. And so from there, that's where I started visiting area high schools in Chicago, talking to some of the, introducing them to nursing and talking to them about how they can better prepare themselves as well. And then I also started mentoring students as well, and then helping them with things like their nursing school essays and reviewing those with them and helping them to better outline them, their scholarships, looking at applications, taking them to networking events, introducing them to different Black nursing leaders and nursing organizations and events and things, just to get them better prepared. And so now, from the pandemic has really shifted a lot of things. So really beginning in 2020 is where I did a relaunch and I started to build what I have now, which is the coaching. And so that's one-on-one coaching that I have for the students, where they can get a customized care plan from me. And that's a infographic outline with step-by-step of what their best steps are to apply to nursing school and to prepare them. And if there's any deficits, to make sure to insert things to give them the better opportunity to be a more applicable and competitive student. So I offer that to them as a part of my coaching. I also have where they can drop in and we can talk once a month, for instance, and just have an hour a month. And they can talk about anything related to nursing that they need to, if they don't have any specific plans or structure yet in place. And then otherwise, I have a 3-month coaching program where we can talk just about nursing school and applications and essays. We have a plan for scholarships and we have one for personal development. But I want to make sure that we zone in and work on that and one good time and make sure that we knock it out and we keep that accountability. And in that 3-month, we work every week for 12 weeks. 30 minutes every week until we get it done. So I'm working with one particular student and we are now working on her 3rd nursing school now and just looking at strategizing her nursing school search strategy and looking at schools that are, that are in the place that they need to be. And when I say that, I mean things like the accreditation, which is really big, the NCLEX pass rate, which is the licensure examination that nursing graduates need to take to become a nurse, and things like that, because we can find all sorts of schools that are inexpensive or close by, but if we don't have those aspects, we're in trouble, and we have to know the right places to look as well. So I have those things. And then I also have organizational tools as well. So those are things where they can actually track their nursing schools that they're applying to and all of the important information that goes with that beyond just the name of the school and the deadline. So I have that, a scholarship organizational tool as well, where they can track all their scholarships. And then I have a organizational tool where they keep up with their prerequisites that they're taking as well, because if you go to one school or more than one school, and you have, I mean, for myself, I had a lot of transcripts with all of my years of education. So rather than trying to sift through all of those, you have one sheet that you can look and pull from all of your transcripts and keep track of all of your different prerequisites. And then I do have courses as well to prepare the students.
You covered it from the rooter to the tutor.
Yes, I did.
So I want to ask this question. It's buzzing around my head like a wasp or a mosquito. So I got to swat it down and ask it. What's the ratio in your experience through the coaching that you do of men of color, young men of color, as opposed to females that are looking at coming into nursing? Because you know how it is in the hood. You know, there's a lot of machismo and this and the other. And I know I found a bunch of guys at the corner playing basketball and I said, hey, anybody want to come talk to me about nursing? I'm probably going to get beat up. you know, because they think it's still for girls. A lot of them. How do you confront or soften that fence, if you will, or that you know what I'm saying, that pushback as far as the male versus female of color going into nursing? Has that changed, or do they pretty much still think that's for girls?
Well, I don't think I've seen that much of that going on, not as much in years past. So
Been better.
there it really is. I mean,
Right.
there is a nursing organization that actually is just for men in nursing, as a matter of fact.
Hmm.
And then currently the president of the American Nurses Association, Dr. Ernest Grant, is actually a Black nurse. So, we have representation right there. Representation really matters more. That is what helps uh, for when we imagine if there's something that we would like to do. It's almost like you can't be what you can't see. And so, no, I am not a male of color. However, I'm a woman of color, and those men of color came from a woman of color. So, with that, all you can do is trust. But what I would like to say too, regarding that is, no, I do have a Facebook group actually for Black aspiring nurses, and so with that, there's actually a few males in the group as well. So it has been growing the interest for Black males that are going into nursing as well. So it's not foreign. There's people that I have on my Instagram following list that I follow, and those are Black men in nursing.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of,
yeah, come
excuse
on.
me, you're one person. So what about, when kids are coaching with you, say
Mhm.
you get into nursing school and stuff, uh, do you connect them with like alumni of color from that nursing school that might serve as a type of mentor for them as they move through the years? Because I can imagine that you handle all of this yourself. And I know my kids from Power Way, I stay in touch with a lot. Well, they stay in touch with me,
Mhm.
when they come home on breaks and stuff. Sometimes we go have lunch or just grab a call, but they love to let me know how they're doing. Uh, what's that like when you get those calls or letters or emails or whatever they may be from kids that you've coached that tell you that, hey, guess what, Fallon or Nurse Flowers, everything you taught me is working. My dream is in fact coming true. How's that make you feel?
Well, blessed for certain, that's for certain. So, because I think I take everything from my creator to make me creative, and he is the source, and I am his resource. So,
There
I
you
am
go.
blessed, truly blessed when I get those messages back. But, yes, you are right. I am one person. And so, I believe in working smart and not working hard. So,
Amen.
I do make sure that I connect those people, these young people and these adults, with other, especially nurses of color. So if they want to be a nurse that works in the ICU, I'll find a Black ICU nurse. If you want to work in pediatrics and I know a Black pediatric nurse, I'm connecting you with them. So I want to make sure that they are connected, again, with that representation, so that you can be who you see. So I do like to make sure to do that. And then I also do connect them with a lot of different nursing organizations. As a matter of fact, anyone who joins my newsletter, which you can get on the contact page of my website, you wind up getting a list of the top 7 Black nursing organizations in the United States. So
Okay.
I do make sure that I connect them, because you are absolutely right. I am one person, but I'm very grateful when they do reach back and let me know how they're doing. And I do, from the beginning, I really emphasize that, being the Black pre-nursing coach with Nursing Inspired, pre-nursing is in the name. So that helps them to kind of understand where
Yeah.
my zone of, compassion lies, I'll say, more than anything. So I help you to prepare, get organized and inspired to apply and to get into nursing school. Once you're in nursing school, if you need a tutor or a coach or more inspiration, there's nurses for that, especially Black nurses that I know. And then if you're a new nursing grad, I know people that have their businesses that I connect them with too, especially if they are a Black nurse. So I'm definitely very intentional about making sure that it's not me and that they know, where I lie as far as continuing to mentor if coaching has ended at that time.
Well, I know I've never even heard, not to say they don't exist, but personally, I've never heard of anyone that is doing what you're doing. So let's say, what about the person out there watching right now that goes, yeah, I love it. I have a child, a boy or girl, young man, young lady who needs your help. But Fallon, we're not of color.
Mm.
Can you help us? What do you say?
Yes, yes. I have not come across that yet, to be honest. But I would give some advisement because I have welcomed people before, given advisement of some of the things that what are their greatest challenges and problems. I'll give them that information and then I'll connect them with the organizations and places that can assist them. And so, even though I'm specifically focusing on Black
Sure.
and African American and those from diaspora entering them.
Coming from those, coming from kids coming from those disadvantaged areas who need
Yes,
help.
yes.
I get
So
it.
even though I'm focusing on that now, prior to again, my beginnings in all of this was teaching the students of all ethnicities and genders and everything. And so it's not new to me, to be able to work with them. And even outside of this, I still precept students that don't look like me. And so I definitely, love helping all people. So I'm a helper, but I want to make sure that, I'm staying in this niche because I came from where they're going.
Right.
So I want to
Get
make
it.
sure to help, those that are coming from where I came from, especially if it's from disadvantaged areas or, and that's financially or educationally or what have you, that I can help them too. And that
And how
they
to
have
get a and how to
too.
and how to get that degree without having to sell a kidney. Okay. So
Please.
so there we go. So listen. Oh wow, what an hour. We are unfortunately out of time for today's show. But if you or someone you know could benefit from continuing the conversation with Fallon, here on the screen you'll find how to do so. Just head over to nursinginspired.com/contact, and everything you need is there. She has tons of resources. I'm going to take the liberty of dropping them in the comment section at the conclusion of today's broadcast. Make use of it. And Fallon, I thank you for being courageous enough to let me drag you into some of those piranha-filled waters that people don't want to talk about, but sometimes we just need to think about talking about them. And so
Yeah.
hopefully we've inspired someone today. We need to remind ourselves at every step of the way during this pandemic and beyond that it's all about respect. Respect yourself and make the decision that is best for you. Respect others and the decisions they have made for them. When we do that, we have common ground yet again, no matter what side of the aisle we find ourselves on. That's what illuminated conversation is all about. It's cathartic. It is something that brings us together and doesn't have to separate us. So take that with you today. Fallon, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you at the Power of We Symposium. And just a reminder, the clock ticking, 72 hours. She knows what it means. So listen, you guys get over, do yourself a favor and check out what Fallon has here and let all of your young people of color that are thinking about nursing or the allied health fields, let them know that this is available. Have a great day, all of you. Tomorrow, joining us all the way from the UK, he's back for a third time in 6 years. That is Perry Power, a wonderful mindset coach, a brilliant author and speaker, and he's here to tell us what's going on the other side of the pond. In the meantime, get out there today and be the blessing you'd like to receive. I want you to get out and turn everything you run into today, take it from great to greater, take bright to brighter, strong to stronger. I will meet you, God willing, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. on the front porch. And we'll do it all over again. It'll be our next episode of Bathrobe Moments. Have a blessed day and be that blessing you want to see. Bye, Fallon. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.